How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Proven Ground Mastermind. We're going to get started here in about 7 minutes, so we still got some time. If you guys have some questions, feel free to chat those in. And if you can let me know if you can see my screen and hear me talking as you guys get logged in. As you guys get logged in, just let me know if you can see my screen and hear me talking. I'm going to check here. As you guys get logged in, all right, it works. Five minutes, we'll get started, guys. As you guys get logged in, let me know if you can see my screen and hear me talking. All right. 3 more minutes, guys. Still don't see anybody chatting in, so hopefully that's just because you guys haven't chatted, not because you can't see the screen or hear me talking. If you guys can just chat in, let me know that you can see my screen or hear me talking. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Proving Ground Mastermind. Today, I want to talk about something that a number of people have asked about recently. So we do have lesson 47. For those of you guys that are not aware, lesson 47 talks about aggressive positioning. So I wanted to add an additional step just to try to help you guys step up the positioning game. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at kind of some of the disciplines that we looked at with the aggressive positioning video, but also look at some technical analysis as well to give us some guide, right? So we're going to use kind of a combination of those two things. So what I have set up here is a 5-minute, 10-minute with support and resistance, and you guys can see, I'll open this up, clean chart. Let me expand this so you can see that we've got, it goes all the way back to way back here. So we've accounted for support and resistance on a 10-minute. We also have some levels of support and resistance on a 60-minute, and then we're going to use our 5-minute for entry. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at it in 60-minute blocks, right? So this is, I just backed up to the last couple weeks. So this is 8/20/2018, which would have been Sunday, and you can see right here it would have been, well, it would have been Monday, but it would have been Sunday for us. So this is the 7 p.m. post. You guys know me, I don't like trading before the 7 p.m. post on Sunday, so we're going to look at it from 7 p.m. forward. Now, what we've done is we're going to catch a read from our 60-minute, determine what we're going to do in our 60-minute, and then we're going to decide where we want to position with our 5 and 10-minute. So our 5-minute, we're going to use our major minor to either be overbought or oversold. And then our 10-minute, we're going to use our support and resistance to determine when the 5-minute is overbought, if it's reached a certain level of resistance, or if we're comfortable at that point to just sell. And a lot of times, some of this stuff becomes very evident and fluid, right? And we can see for the last number of hours there, we had been trailing down, probably heading to some level of support here. 114.284 is on the 60-minute. If we're looking at that, it's about 7 pips away. We got about 9 pips on top of us. So we're going to use kind of that same approach. We're going to be looking for about 3 to 5 pips of take profit, but we're also going to be looking for that positioning as well. All right. So let's start with our 60-minute. We'll use just what we can simply see in front of us. And so we can simply see in front of us is still some, potential continuation sell, right? But we don't want to just jump in and sell. We want to make sure that we give ourselves, the best opportunity possible to take as much profit as we want. So we're going to use this, even though it's kind of a soft sell, right? I mean, we got majors and minors oversold. We got thick orange already flat. But we're going to use this just reactively, right? At this post, we had both of these lines pointed down, so we're going to be looking for that sell. But first, what we want to do is use our 5-minute to give us some of that positioning, right? And if we are going to position, we could position all the way up to the 14.409 level on our 10-minute technicals. But we're going to wait to see what happens when the 5-minute is overbought and what we can see. Okay, and I've already lined out some of this stuff, but let's take it one step at a time. All right, so let's go forward. So we got 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. So you can see as soon as we broke below this 114.328 level, we kind of hit this resistance level up here, right? And we bounced on it 1, 2, and now kind of a third time on the 10-minute chart. So right here, now we're overbought. We're catching some resistance, and our level below us is about 7 or so pips away. So we're only looking for like a 3-pip trade here, right? Because that's about 50% of that distance with this short-term small trend, right? So from this point down, we'd be looking for that 3 pips, which means we need to get about 4.2 pips. And now we've identified kind of this 114.328 level, so we've drawn it on our 5-minute just so we have a bit of a guide right there. And there's 5 minutes, so this should be the post on the 60-minute. So we're going to go to the 60, and the post on the 60 is still down, right? So we can see that we still had that down. This is kind of where we started. This is where the market's moved. We weren't able to take advantage of any of that, and we're right on support, but we've now positioned with our shorter-term charts to try to take some of that distance down to our shorter-term charts technicals, which is 114.260, right, which is about 7 pips down. And we're still using this down as our indication. Again, it's oversold, but that's why we waited for the positioning, right? Okay, so we're still waiting for our 3 pips out on that one. That one goes 10 minutes, and we're at 4.6, so we take profit, right? Okay, so now we're in a new hour. We still have some of that down. We haven't completed the move to 114.260 on our shorter-term charts, but we're not overbought anymore on our 5-minute. So we need to come up on this one a little bit so that we can justify taking another short. So let's wait for the push up, and we'll keep an eye on that 114.328 level and see if the major minor get overbought as it reaches that level. So this is the new candle now, right? And we've got 5 minutes into the new candle, the new 60-minute candle, 10, and now we're on that 114.328 level, but we're not overbought on the major minor, right? So let's go to the next one. Now right here, I'm going to show you something. On that wick, we're overbought on the major minor. I'm going to show this to you. I already replayed them and checked them, but I'll show it to you just so you guys can see that at the top there, we were actually overbought with the major minor, and then it came down. So again, like we talked about in aggressive positioning in lesson 47, you don't have to wait for the 5-minute to post overbought. They just need to arrive overbought, right? And a lot of times it helps if they arrive overbought and you're on a level of technicals. You probably don't want to use a 5-minute technical, maybe a 10, 15, 30, but then also be cognizant of what your 60-minute technicals are saying. In other words, technicals, support and resistance, so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to replay this real quickly just so you guys can see. Dang it, I replayed the wrong one. I need to replay the one before that. Okay, hold on. Let's pause play. So it's not this candle that we're about to watch. It's the following one. But watch what happens to the major minor as soon as the candle changes over, right? So I'm going to speed this up. Just go 50 times the speed. You can see 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 26 seconds, okay? Now watch major minor as soon as the candle changes over. And this is what we're looking for. Let's do like 5 times the speed. 3 seconds, 2, 1, and then watch them extend. There it is, overbought, right? They push up just a little bit, they get overbought, they do another run up, but anyway, so you can see that we're overbought there, right? Speed that up just so I can have that candle. Okay, so our entry was at this level right here. So it did another run up, I just didn't wait for it. So from here, we're looking for just a 3 pip, right? So we've already gotten our 3 pips here. We're looking for another 3 pip here. And we're out right there, okay? So at this point, it's 25 minutes into the hour. We still have that sell signal from the previous. So we're still kind of banking on that, using our 5-minute to position with our 10-minute technicals. So let's bring up our 10-minute technicals. I'm going to go one more candle over so that we can see the new 10-minute. All right. So here on our 10-minute, let's see, are we at the right time? Oh, this is the end of the 2:30, so this is 2:40, but no worries. Okay, so on our 10-minute, we're not using this for indicators. We're just using it for technical analysis, right? So we can see that line again. Well, we haven't. Well, we're going to hit that in the next 10 minutes, but we haven't quite hit it yet. So now what we're looking for again is that overbought, and we've already identified that 14.328 to be a pretty good line. So we're going to be looking for that line again while we're overbought with the major minor on the 5-minute, so we can continue to sell with the 60-minute. A lot of you guys ask how Candace trades. This is probably as close as I can explain to how Candace trades. She's using anywhere from a 5 to a 30-minute technical analysis, and then she's using her 60-minute for overall, and then she's just playing within those ranges. What I would recommend for you guys is trying to stay with the shorter-term trend, right? And obviously we're in kind of this shorter-term downtrend right here, so we want to kind of stay with that within our technical analysis, right? If we start breaking above these highs, then we want to start considering changing the direction which we're favoring, in this case, short. So let's wait for that overbought. We could very well have gotten overbought with that wick right there. If we did, then we would be looking for another entry short. So let's look at that. Or actually, did I erase a line there? I may have. Okay. I'm going to get rid of our TNTs just so we can see this a little better. Okay. So right here, as that wick happened, we're likely to have created an overbought on the major minor and the 5-minute again. So let's replay that because I'm not sure. I don't have a line there, but let's check. So I'm going to replay that candle because we've got that nice level 114.328. So let's see, when we hit that level, our major minor overbought. That's the question. On the 5 minutes. Right now we're just looking at the 5. Speed that up just a little bit. There we go. Hold on, almost there. There it is. Are we overbought? Yeah. We're overbought. On the line, overbought. So what are we looking to do there? Again, we're looking to short from that point, right? We've identified that line, major minor overbought on the 5-minute. The 10-minute shows that's a 10-minute technical line, and the 60-minute is giving us still that short, right? So we're kind of resisting on any kind of long movement, particularly at this 114.328, at least on the 5 and 10-minute. And then we're getting those pullbacks. But we're only going for scalps in this particular instance, right? So we've only knocked down about 2 scalps. We're looking for our third one now. Let me speed that up so we can get those candles. Okay. And there's another out, 5.6 pips. We only went for 3. We only needed 4.2 of those 5.6 pips in order to get a 3 pip. Okay, so we're at 235. We're still within that hour. Let's see if we can get overbought again and potentially sell again. Otherwise, we're going to be looking really seriously at our 60-minute again to see where that stands. So let's go back here just for a moment. Okay, so 114.260 below us, beneath us. Let me see if I have that line. 114.260. Let's put that in there just so we can have some bearing on what the 10-minute is saying without giving away anything as we go. Okay. So there's our 5.6 on our resistance trade again, looking at the 60-minute overall for the sell, and then positioning with the 5-minute using technical analysis to determine where we might top off, right? Okay, so we're only looking for sells because we're in that kind of short-term down. And until we start getting some of that reversal, we're still going to look at this as kind of a short-term down, right? All right, so now we're looking for a possible entry short again, and we're looking at 14.328, or when we get maxed out with the major minor overbought, right? And that is until we get to the end of the hour, and then we want to reevaluate indicators on the 60-minute. Okay, so right here, still not overbought. kind of moving our way back up. I don't think we got overbought right there. It looks like the majors were lagging. We can check it, but let's just skip it for now. If I don't have it marked, let's just check it real quick. I doubt that that was overbought on that wick right there, major and minor, but let's replay it and check. Let's wait for that. Okay. So we can see that the minors are overbought. Majors, the red is really lagging. It's not likely the red is going to get all the way overbought, all the way above the blue within this candle. But let's, again, we're here. May as well check it. I'm going to speed that up a little bit. And you see the red is still in the channel, clearly in the channel. Even as it reached up, never really got there, right? So, and then that's about 10 seconds to the end of the candle. So, all right. So we didn't get an entry there. I mean, otherwise that would have been a quick and fun one, right? But didn't get any entry. So we're still waiting for our overbought. But this is the post on the 60-minute. I've got these two things right there to tell me where the end is, right? And so the 255, this candle ends at 3 o'clock, 255 to 3. So that's going to give us our 60-minute post. Let's go back to our 60 and our 10 and see what our 10 is telling us as well. Okay, so our 60 is on support 284, right? And our 5-minute to support, we still have about 2.6 pips left in support on our 5-minute. And so not really a lot of room to short from that point, right? We can see that the minors have kind of crossed up and majors are pointed down, but what we're actually waiting for is this 60-minute right here, or this 5-minute rather, to get overbought if we want to continue to sell with that, right? Because we may see some give back right here as a result of hitting this level of support. Even though we're not at support for our 10-minute, we can see our 60-minute is giving us a small level of support. We're not overbought on the 5-minute anyway, so we're obviously going to wait to see if we can get overbought first, and then before we come down and tap out at 14,260. So let's minimize these and see what happens. So we want to try to get up to buy ourselves some space to go back down, right? Because we can see the post on the 60, majors are down, minors were up, so there could still be room to sell, but we want to be cognizant of whatever up might happen in that process as well. So we're playing ultra conservative. So let's look for our opportunity to short. Okay, so still not overbought. That's the new. This is the first 5 minutes of the new hour. 10, 15, 20, 25. So would not have been overbought yet. 30. Now we're overbought. Now we're not at our 14,328 level though, right? So we're kind of, if we back this up a little bit, we're kind of somewhere in this range, right? I mean, maybe a little bit there, but not much. I guess there's a little bit there and there. You can see if we go back a little bit, there's a little bit right there, played within that range as it broke down, came back up, but we have these two breaks right here which don't really make sense for this line. However, we can see a level of support, and now resistance. So we don't want to discount that. But at that point, it's like, okay, are you wanting to force it, or are you going to wait for the level that you initially had in mind? So let's wait for the level we initially had in mind, which is 14,328. If we miss it, then we miss it, right? It's not that we actually missed anything. It's just we were waiting for what we were comfortable with. And justifying your position sometimes will get you in more trouble than it's worth. So we're not going to do anything here, even though the 5-minute is overbought, because, again, we're using our technical analysis to determine when we're overbought and oversold if we've reached the desired area in order to go the opposite direction. So in this particular case, we have not. Or 14,328 is still the mark. What is this? 325, so we can look at this. You can see we still have some room on the 10-minute to continue up a little bit. And it's only about 2 or 3 pips. But when we're only going for 3 to 5 pips, you don't want to draw down more than you have to when you're only going for so little. Okay. So still haven't reached the 14.328 level. We're still overbought in the 5 minutes, so we haven't missed anything quite yet either. So let's continue to wait. Still waiting. So remember, when we get to the end of the hour, we're going to probably look at the 60-minute again to see if that's still the direction we want to take. So right here, we got really convincing position to potentially short, right? But we still haven't reached our 14.328 level, and we're at 3:45. So we only have about 15 minutes left in this hour. And then right there, finally, we reach our level 14.328, and now we're looking to short. Green just popped on bottom, which is a benefit, but we're only looking at majors. So you see sometimes, I mean, had we done something right here, would it have been terrible to draw down 1.9 pips? I don't know. Let's see, how much more we draw down. But, for the most part, that still would have been a pretty good entry. However, waiting for some of those lines that you can see have been, we're playing in between, will really benefit you a lot of times, because it's going to give you kind of that direction and cause for you to be a little more calm and precise within the market. All right, so let's continue. This would be our entry. So that's actually the end of the 60-minute. This is the end of this 5 minute would be the end of the 60-minute. So let's pull up our 60. So our 60 is posted kind of up, right? But it's almost like it's more like a head fake scenario, because you've got minors almost. It's not really a head fake, because minors have to be a little further extended into the channel. We do have that nice separation between major and minor. Majors are also soft cross but hanging back. Minors have entered. We have a contrary candle, and we have opposite pressure. So I bet when that wick happened up here, minors were a little further into the channel and majors are still hung back, and that would have triggered a head fake pattern, right? But we're not looking at head fake patterns. We're still considering the short. If we did notice that, then we're not really putting a lot of notion into the buy for this particular post, right? Nonetheless, we're still in a sell already. We got into it 10 minutes before the end of the hour, so now we're waiting for our fill. All right. Our 10-minute is giving us the same as session, right? That 14.328. So we touched that 14.328. This is actually the end of the 10-minute. So that kind of gives it away a little bit, because we can see it actually move down, but nonetheless. So there, not enough. I drew the line so we could see where they came out. So that's 10 minutes. This is the first 5 minute of the new hour. 15 minutes since we entered, 20, 25, 30. So this has gone all the way back up, which, by the way, if we were waiting for an entry, if we didn't catch that entry, here's another opportunity, right? So now we've gone about 30 minutes. We're still not out of our original, and if we'd not gotten into this one, this would have been another opportunity, which is why we have it marked to short, right? But we don't want to double down. If we're not profitable in this one, we don't want to try to double down, because if it does not go in our area, then we'd be double the hurt in the opposite direction. All right, so drawdown for both of those trades is going to be about less than a pip. That one came out right there, 4.6, and then this one should have been out right about that same place. Why did I have it marked differently? Oh, it's because this one was just a little bit lower. Okay. So 4.6, and then there's our, let's adjust that. Where is that? 4.5, I don't know. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Actually, so both of those would have come out right there. Apologies. These both lines, yeah, intersect right there. Okay. So that would have been like 50 minutes for that first trade, and the secondary, if you'd have missed the first one, 5, 10, 15, so about 20 minutes. But both of them successful, less than a pip drawdown. One of them took about an hour, the other one took about 20 minutes. Okay, so now we're at 440. We're still into the 1 hour, but we're not overbought on the 5 minutes, so we're not looking for another entry either. All right, so now we're getting close to that 14.260 line, so we want to be really cautious when we get there, right? All right, so right here is the end of the 60-minute. This is the last 5 minutes of the 60-minute. So let's pull up the 60. And let's pull up our 10-minute. Okay. So we finally got to the 14,260. In that process, we took maybe 2 or 3 scalp trades or more, I can't remember, to the short side, waiting for that positioning as it pulled long, hit our trusted 14,328 level, and then pulled back down to the 14,260. So we were able to knock down quite a few there. Now we've got our 60-minute post, both major minor pointed down. However, a lot of times after the head fake, these particular patterns will reverse back up, right? But we're still only taking short trades. So even if it does reverse back up, we're going to wait for positioning to try to continue to short it, right? We're not going to trust the long yet. We're still continuing with the short, especially because it just broke support rather. It just broke support, and our next level of support is about 13, 14 pips away. So we still got about 6 or 7 pips to the short side on just the 60-minute that we could probably account for with this short-term down. So we're still going to look for positioning with our 5 and 10-minute to continue to short. If we were taking this particular signal to try to go long, obviously it would have costed us because it didn't go much to the long side. You can see it went about 2.8 pips. But this is usually a follow-up to the head fake, which also signifies a long direction. We do have support right here that is historically sound. You can see it right there, resistance, and then, or rather, sorry, let me open this up. So you can see that line of support right there, resistance, resistance, support. So it's a consistent line, so we don't want to mess with that too much. Since we broke through it, right? We broke through it by about 3 or 4 pips. All right. So we're still looking for those downs, but we want to try to get some positioning with our 5-minute. So let's continue and see if we can get our 5-minute to overbuy. There's first 5 minutes of the new hour, 10, 15, 20. So it's touched that line, but we're not overbought, so we're not trusting that line quite yet. 25, 30, 35. So majors are overbought, minors are not. Now we're, well, let me show you. Erase. So at this point, majors were overbought. As soon as they arrived, as soon as the new candle posted, majors and minors were both overbought. I'll just show you guys. There you go, overbought. As soon as that candle started, they were overbought. So we'd be looking to short. This is 35, so 40. So we can see that on the 10-minute, we still have it as resistance, right? Now you got to consider that resistance is not going to be as clean on shorter time frames as it is on longer time frames, right? So you're going to get some of these minute breaks like this, and then if we look back here, we kind of have the similar thing going on, and then right here, similar, these very small minute breaks, right? So we want to just be cognizant of that. Okay. Let me find where we left off here. Oh, right here. Okay. So as the candle posted, it posted overbought. I don't think that's where we are. Hang on one second. Nope, I went back. Okay, there we go. So now we wait for the overbought. Right there. So that's where the overbought happened, right? So we're just going to start, we're just going to give it the benefit of the doubt. We're just going to start from the beginning of this candle, right? So let me go back here. Let me play this and then go back one and speed it up so I can use those candles. Okay. So right here, we went, when we're just counting from the start of that line right there or the start of that candle. Oops, not that one. Oh yeah, it is this one, sorry. The start of this candle, not the high point, just the start of it. And that went 3.3, and then it went 3.3 to there, and then that went 4.6. Oh, by the way, we're looking at, from this level, we're looking at about 10 pips, right? So we're actually looking for a 5 pip trade here, not 10, because now we've made ourselves some room to the short side. The difference between here and here was about 7, and the difference from here to here is about 9 or 10. So we're looking for 5 short, and we're starting from the starting point there, looking for 5 short, and this is drawdown 1 pip thus far, and then there's our take profit right there. Whoops, that's a new candle. So we were able to get our 5. It went 12.2, but we knocked down our 5, right? And we didn't really have another setup after that for a short. If we did miss that one, it didn't really come back and overbuy before it shorted and gave us profit. So let's look for our next one. We're still looking for a sell. So we want this to go overbought, and now we're looking at that 14,260 level, somewhere in that range, to give us destination or positioning. But let's check our 60 really quickly, because this is the end of the 60 and our 10. Okay, our 60 is consistent, right? We went back to resistance, and then now we're heading back again to support at 14,117, and that's about 11.7 pips on the 60 minute, and then 14,175 on the 10, which is about 6 pips away. So obviously we're gonna go with the safest here, as opposed to this one here. We're gonna go with the more conservative, because we're using our 10-minute as this kind of scalping direction or destination, while our 5-minute is, say, overbought or oversold. In this case, we want it to be overbought because we're looking to just take sells. Okay, so now we want our 5-minute to get overbought again, and that's before touching down on 14,175. So let's mark 14,175 just so we know on a 5-minute where we're looking out for 175. Okay. And there's 14,175, right? We hit it as we took profit there. So we're going to hold off for just a second and see what happens when we get overbought on our 5-minute to see if we can take another short. There's this is 10 minutes into the new hour. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we can see that line 14,175 is now holding us back a little bit. Now let's see if we're going to get anywhere into the 14,260 range, or if we can get major minor overbought before then. So right here, this went about 2 pips above 14,175. We are overbought on the 5-minute. Now we aren't at 14,260, but we are on a short-term down, right? Now again, if we could try to justify this, we could say, well, there's kind of some levels here that we could look at, but let's just stick to our plan, right? And let's just say we're looking at the 14,260. Even though we're vastly overbought here, we could be missing our position to short, but we're counting on the 14,260. And if we don't get to 14,260, it's not like we missed our entry. It's just we didn't get our entry based on what we're looking at. If we start changing any of these rules, that's where we start getting in trouble, because we start trying to justify our positions. Now, again, this is just another step. Some of you guys are really successful just waiting for the 5 minutes to get overbought and then selling, or waiting for it to get oversold and buying. But using this is just another discipline which allows for you to get much more familiar with how the 5 minute works as it compares to on the major minor work on the 5 minute as it compares to major minor on the 60 minute, right? Okay, so let's go forward here. We're not taking the trade right. We're waiting for 114.260, and we did not arrive there here either. Just going to show you that. Okay, let's go forward. So still waiting for 114.260. We're still overbought. Still waiting. Still. We've kind of left the overbought now, so we'd have to recommit and get to the overbought again. And that moved 8.8 from there, but we haven't gone all the way down to the level we were watching. Actually, we don't know what level we're watching at the bottom yet, but this is the end of the hour, so let's pull up the 10 minute and 60 minute again. 114.117, 60 minute has hit its support. The 10 minute is pretty close. It's within 2 pips of hitting its support. We never reached, well, we have yet to reach the 114.260. Now we've kind of pulled back. We're almost down to our support level. We're not really banking on that positioning, quite yet. We're oversold. The 60 minute is posted oversold. Majors down, minors kind of sideways. So let's see if we can catch some positioning long if we want to continue to short. However, 114.117 is where we kind of dead stopped, right? On support. And if we go back, we can see that historically that is, in fact, I didn't just draw that out of my imagination. You can see that we've got resistance as it tried to come up to that level. And then if we go back, where am I? 6 at 820. Okay. So we go back. Oh, it's 117. That's right. So you can see that we've got resistance, resistance. We've got resistance, resistance, resistance. Lots of resistance, and then over here it works as support, which is really common for good levels of support and resistance, right? They double as both. 820. Okay. Oops. Okay. So now we're looking for another sell opportunity. So we're going to wait for the 5 minutes to get overbought and touch one of our technical levels. Okay. So let me. And we would not have taken this trade. I'm going to erase that line because we didn't get to our 114.260. Okay. So let's wait for that. So not overbought, starts to pull back up. Still not overbought, holding on that resistance at least momentarily. There's 10 minutes, there's 15, there's 20, and we didn't get there yet, 114.260. Pretty close, but we haven't got there yet. So let's see if we can get there on the next candle, but we are overbought. There it is. So there's our entry. Let me erase that. And now we're looking for a sell from 260, right? From right here. And we're only looking for, we've got about 9 or 10, so we're looking for 5 pips again. Let's look for another 5. So 5 minute, and there's 8.8. So we got it in the next 5 minute candle. We were patient. We waited for 114.260. We did miss. We didn't miss, but it did move in the direction we thought it would prior to this particular point. But we waited for what we were comfortable with, and then we executed, and it was a much more comfortable trade. Okay, so we're not at the end of the hour yet, so we're still waiting for an overbought again to potentially take another short. Okay, so let's continue here. We're holding on 175 again. There's a pullback right there, and let's see, did we touch 260? Erase. Nope, didn't touch 260 yet, so we're still going to wait to touch that 260. And we're not overbought, right? So we need to get overbought. Did we get overbought on that wick erase? Hold on. I didn't notice that wick right there. Let's check if we got overbought. I think we did if I had a line there. But let's check just to make sure. Okay, we're looking at 114.260 to get overbought to that level. So major and minor have to be overbought, and the 260 has to be touched because that's the rules that we're playing by right now. So I'm going to speed this up like 5. I don't want to go too fast. There it is, right there. Look at that, major, minor, overbought. So 260 is our entry, right? Let's see if it works out for us. Play. Let's go back. And okay. So now we're looking again for our 5 pip trade. We're at 4.9, not enough. And that'll do it, 6.4. So I'm going to mark it from there to there. So we got another 5 pip trade to the short side, waiting for that 260. We don't want to question our approach. If that's what we're counting on, then we're going to just continue to work the levels that are working out for us until they don't, right? Obviously, once you've hit your goal for the day, you don't want to just keep on doing this. Once you hit your goal for the day, stop. You don't want to make a habit of trading until you lose, right? Otherwise, you're going to always lose. You're going to always end up, closing the day with a loss. Give yourself opportunities to just hit streaks of winners. If you want to go for 1 to 2%, we could have easily done 1 to 2%, 3 trades before this trade right here, right? And not done the other ones. Even though they would have won, it doesn't matter, because at some point, if you keep on pressing your luck that way, you're gonna catch something that just doesn't work out, right? So let's continue on here. We're at 7:45, so we're not at the top of the hour. We're not at the top of the hour yet. So let's continue. Let's see if we can get another overbought and an opportunity to sell again. So majors are up, minors are down, not overbought, and this is going to be the end of the hour right there. Let's see, erase. Nope, we didn't get to the 114.260. We started to pull down, so let's go to our 10-minute and our 60. And our 60 has posted major, minor up. Green still on bottom. It does have that nice little elbow right there. But we have major, minor up. Our 10-minute has come down to almost to our level of support, and we've touched resistance at least once, maybe twice, and then pull back a little bit. We can see that we're still kind of in this downward slope here, right? And until we break probably this level right here, we're going to continue into this. We're going to continue with this downward slope. If we start breaking that level on the 10-minute, we may start reevaluating what trend direction we're going. Okay. So right now we've got a long on the 60-minute, but we're looking only for short movements. So either we skip until we get a better signal on the 60, or we still look for our short scalps. Okay, so let's consider both. So let's wait for a buy, and then we'll look at our technicals on our 10-minute to see if there's anything obvious that we could play with to short, not to go long. So let's go new candle. This is the new 60-minute candle. So there's 5 minutes and then 10 minutes. Now right here, if we're using our 60-minute for a long, that would likely be our entry for a long, right? Because we touched down on a level of support, and then we're looking for a buy, right? But we're not looking for buys, so we're not going to take that. Erase that. Otherwise, that would be our entry for a buy. Now, if we did, let's look to see if we would have got it, right? Because our plan for going into this was just to take the shorts. But let's look to see, and we could very well have gotten it really quickly. So let's look. And we have about, 9 or 10 pips, so let's go 5. Let's look for 5 pips. Or let's just say 3 pips, because we're kind of against our short-term direction. So let's just look for 3 pips. There's 2, there's 3.8 drawdown, there's 8.4 drawdown, the 8.1 drawdown. See where that went. That's about less than a pip drawdown at the peak there. At the end of that candle is 4.3 drawdown. Let's see, erase. Why do I have that marked? Oh, at that level, major minor may have been overbought, but they're not at 14,175, so we wouldn't have taken that one either, because we're gonna look for that level to be touched first. But from back here, where we're major and minor oversold. Okay, right there. That's the other thing, is we haven't touched down on any. Let's see, 175. That's right, we did 175, and we're oversold. Okay, but we weren't looking for long trades. Nonetheless, let's see if it would have worked out. Okay. Uh, 6.7. That's going to go 11.7. 13.4. We are at 855. We have yet to get overbought to try to get a sell in, right? So we're still waiting for that overbought to try to get a sell in. Meanwhile, the market's still moving against us. If we had decided to get into that original. Yeah, Ron, I wouldn't be opposed to that. As long as you can see that the majors and minors are going to get overbought when they get to that level, if you can see that, or they're already overbought, and you're just waiting for them to touch that level, 14,260, for example, yeah, put a pending there so that you can get in right at that level, and then it starts to short thereafter. Because, yeah, sometimes it'll touch there for just a few seconds and then digress, right? So you want to make sure that you get into that. So let's see if we're going to touch 15 pips drawdown before we come back up, and we're still not overbought. 14.6, that's pretty dang close right there. I mean, that's pretty much a loser, but let's just continue here. So we're now about 10 pips drawn down if we were to try to take that long trade, but now we're overbought and potentially looking for that short, right? So let's just say that long wouldn't have worked out. 14.6 is close enough to call it a loser. So we're at 9:35. So let's pull up our 10-minute. Are we on any kind of level? If we continue to go up, we're looking at this 114.101. So 101. And then below us is 114.017. 14017. Okay. So these are the levels that we want to kind of look at to enter. Now, even though we're overbought on the 5-minute, we're not at the 101 level yet. So we want to see if we can get back there before we short. Did we pass another 1-hour mark? Yeah, we did. Okay. Hang on one second. This is the 1-hour mark. So let's look at our 60-minute. Our 10 and our 60. So here on our 10, we can see we broke support and we're heading towards another one about 5 or 6 pips away. So we're good 3 pips to the short side. If we position, then we could probably make it like a 10 pip or a 5 pip trade, right? Because we'll end up with more like 9 or 10 pips. And we broke on the 60. We broke support on the 60 at the same time, heading towards 13,938, which is about 13 or 14 pips away. So we have some sell on our technical here. We have some sell on our technical here. We have major minor pointed down and pressure down. And we just want to wait for our 5 minutes to get overbought, right? So 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So now we're overbought, but we're not at that 114.101 level. Now we could, again, if that's your approach, if that's what you've decided, you're just going to wait for the 5 minutes to get overbought, then you can sell there, but that's not what we're doing in this particular instance. We're waiting for that 114.101. Now, right here, Ron, that would be a perfect example, right? Because we can see majors and minors are already overbought, and so we could put a pending at 114.101 if we think that it's going to touch and then pull back down. So we make sure we get in right there, right? But you want to take that out if it goes closer to the top of the hour, or if it's pulled down and made the move down and to 017 before going up and touching that. So you don't want to just leave it in there, right? So it's just going to be maybe 20 minutes is the max it would be in there from this point. Maybe probably more like 15 minutes. And then if it doesn't execute because we don't get there and we start getting closer to the top of the hour and get it, then we want to look at our 60-minute and determine from that point. But let's say we did 114.101. So right there we'd be in at 101, not above 101, but at 101. And then we'd be looking for our 5 pips down. So that went about 3.2 against. There's 2.5. And there's our 5. So anchor 101. What does that give us? Okay, actually 7.1 pips. So all I did was adjust that line so it's exactly at 101, because that would be our pending. And then once our pending was executed, we'd have drawn down just a little bit, less than, about 2 or 3 pips. Actually, what was that? Yeah, about 3 pips, and then we would have taken profit right there. All right, and then if we were waiting for another potential entry after touching at this level right here, erase. We had an opportunity there, even there, and that's nice right there. We got that diamond. I haven't explained that to you guys, but then we got the double commitment and then the short. Beautiful. So plenty of opportunities to execute on that, and then profit right there for 5 pips. So let's see if where are we at. So this would have been the end of the hour right here. And let's pull up our 10 and our 60. See, bounced on resistance, 114.101. We have some soft, on the post we have some majors pointed up, minors kind of sideways, pressure still really tight, but negative convergence. Green looks like it might be popping on top, right? So let's consider that for just a brief moment and say that, okay, we've kind of gassed out on the short side. We're starting to pull back on the long side. We have not finished the move to 113.938. So we're going to wait to see if we can position with our 5 minutes to continue to sell, because we have not finished the move down to 114.017 either. And if we finish that to 114.017, that's going to put us pretty close to 938, right? So let's wait for that and see if something changes in that process. So we're going to wait for this to come off and give us our profit. Okay, now we're profitable, so let's wait to see if we pull back and get that position at 14.101. Now we kind of broke that a little bit, and we didn't continue, so we may want to adjust our lines, but let's just leave them. That's a 5 minute though, that's right. So on our 10 minute, yeah, even on our 10 minute, it wasn't consistent. So we may want to question those lines. However, it's been working thus far. So let's leave it, and let's just call that small 2 or 3 pips a fluke and write it off. All right, so let's continue to go forward here. 114.017 is just above us now, waiting to get overbought. So 114.101, that's the line that we're looking at capturing again. And we're overbought right now, but we're not at 101. So let's wait for 101. There it is right there, 114.101. If we penned a trade, if we were pending a trade, we would have missed that, right? Because that just missed, just barely, 114.096. So let's say we did have a pending trade in there. So we'd still be waiting for 101. And this is the end of the hour right there. So right there at the end of the hour, of course, we hit our line 101. So let's look at our 60-minute post before we decide if we want to short there. So our 60-minute post, majors are up, minors are starting to come up a little bit. Majors are in the channel, right? And green just popped on top. And this is how it posted, 14.094, 14.094, 14.094. Do we really want to short right there? If we got all this saying, you know what, you might want to be cautious about that sell, we could very well get some sell out of that, right? But we probably want to kind of sit on our hands here and you know, maybe not try our luck. Let's just say hypothetically that we did, based on the way we've been selling, and we're looking at about 8-9 pips. So let's look for 3 to 5. Let's just say 3 because we're a little more cautious to the short side from this point. So, and that, because that should be a pretty easy trade, right? Okay, so let's look for a sell right here for 3 pips at 1. So 101 is where our pending order would have gone in. We missed it there. We got it here. So let's look for 3. And 101, that moved about 2.7. And now we're about 9.6 away. And that would 13.8, 15. That would be our stopper. All right, so we kept a good beat on the 60 and decided right there, you know what, things have changed. So if they have changed, you feel like the indication has changed, then you start playing the opposite direction and doing the same thing with the 5-minute, waiting for it to get oversold. And if you can't call it that way, if you can't make that transition that quickly, then don't try to force it. You know, stop, wait for it to confirm somehow. Wait for the maybe the 60 minutes to give you a little more confirmation of the long, right? I mean, because that's a nice pullback on support. Plus majors have entered the channel. Minors are lagging, but you know that you're going to see some long more than you are some short there, and that's, you know, and then now they're both committed, right? So if you have to wait for something like that, for both of them to be committed, then wait for it, right? And then once you've got that commitment and you're comfortable with it, then use your 5-minute and do the opposite. Say, okay, wait for it to be oversold and then buy. Wait for it to be oversold, then buy, and then use your 10-minute the same way, right? Support and resistance, right? So wait for it to be oversold and get to 14.175, for example. So right there, 14.175, and then buy, right? There's 4. So if you went for 3, and then there's another 14.4. You get it? So practice this. Practice. Go back on your charts. Use a 5, 10, 60. I mean, did we miss any one of those? Let's just say we did miss 1 or 2 of them, right? Look at how many we were able to profit on, right? So the first couple were like 3-pip trade, 3, 6, 9, and the other ones were 5-pip trades, 5, 10, 15. So that's, you know, what is that, 28, 28, 38, and then minus, even if you took 2 losers, minus 30, you still walked away with 8 pips profit, right? And obviously we were cognizant of why we shouldn't have taken some of the ones that were losers. We actually would not have taken them, right? Just looking at things as a whole. So backtesting gets complicated because if I go too far with my 5-minute, my 10-minute is going to show the end of the 10-minute. So you notice right here 14.233, and this says 14.231. That's because this is the end of the 10-minute. This is the this is the first 5 minutes of that 10-minute. That's why usually when I'm backtesting with you guys, I minimize these other charts so it doesn't give away what's going to happen next. So you got to consider that when it shows you a candle, it's going to show you the end of that candle and not necessarily what you're seeing on your 5-minute. Same thing with the 60, right? As soon as I go forward on this 5 minute, I can see the end of the 60. I can see the end of this next 10 minute, and I can see the first 5 minutes of that 60 minute and the first 5 minutes of this 10 minute. So if I go back on my 60, then I'm going to determine what I'm going to do with my 5, and if I'm back testing, I'm going to get rid of those so it doesn't throw me off. Then I'm just going to know at 11:55, this is the end of the 11 to 12 candle, which means the next candle that comes out is the first 5 minutes of that new hour, right? So keep that in mind when you guys are back testing. If you guys want to replay and actually watch the lines move, which is really awesome, I would definitely recommend it. It just takes a little bit longer, but definitely faster than live trading. Then just go to charts to replay all charts in Chartbook. Just go 1 right there, and I'll just pull up a 10 and a 60, right? If I want to replay all charts in Chartbook from, say, this point, then I've got this set to 1. I've got that set to all charts in Chartbook, standard replay, and then I'm going to press play and watch this. All those charts. Don't worry about syncing. If I try to fast forward to now, but then you can actually watch, and then just try to make your call. And after you make your call, fast forward until it does whatever, either stops or takes profit. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you guys attending, and we'll look forward to speaking with you tomorrow night for the Proven Ground Review. If you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Hiram, Hiram, at daytradesmart.com. If you guys can't remember that, just send it to info at daytradesmart.com. We look forward to talking with you guys tomorrow. Thanks.